Hey Canucks fans, who would you rather have? Pettersson and Hughes or MacKinnon and Makar? I'm Clayton Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter. I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCBC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. This is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Tuesday, March the 31st. Want to start off by giving a shout out to a friend of mine, a new friend of mine. His name is Aiden Cushing. He is a YouTuber. He's 12 years old. He's half Asian. I'm learning all these things, but he's doing some really cool stuff on his YouTube channel, some neat sport things there. So if you want to give Aiden Cushing a follow, please go ahead and do so. Subscribe to him, or at least check out what he's doing. He's just getting started in YouTube, and I wanted to give him a shout out, and I wanted to encourage you, Aiden, for keep on doing what you're doing. So keep it up, and thanks for watching these videos. For today's video, I'm going to talk about something that came up actually in my Sunday night live stream. It was another YouTuber, Lego Rocks 99, Lego Rocks Gaming, and that's Geo, and he asked a really good question in my live stream. And he asked, who would you rather have? Pettersson and Hughes, who we have right now, or MacKinnon and Makar from the Colorado Avalanche? And this was a really, really good question. And I put it out, I answered, I'll talk about this in a second. I answered how I answered, and then a bunch of people chimed in the live stream, which is cool. But then I put it on Twitter yesterday, that very question. I got 400 votes. And I was a little bit surprised that 2/3, 67% of the people said they'd rather have Pettersson and Hughes, and only 32%, 33% I should say, 67 plus 33 makes 100. Only 33%, 1/3 said they'd rather have MacKinnon and Makar. And I remember, you know, I wanted to give an answer. I don't like sitting on the fence. I wanted to give an answer in my live stream. I didn't feel rushed, but I felt like I needed to say something quick and relatively smart. And I said that if I had to pick one, by a hair, I would actually pick the two Colorado guys, MacKinnon and Makar, over Pettersson and Hughes. Now, hear me out here. I said that basically Hughes and Makar are a wash. We talk about that when it comes to Calder Trophy voting. We talk about that when it comes to how they drive play, how they have an important, role in their teams, how they're young guys. They're obviously high draft picks. Makar 4th overall, then Hughes 7th overall. So all these reasons. They're both really good players. That's why they're neck and neck for the Calder Trophy. So for me, it's really splitting hairs between Hughes and Makar. So I kind of took them out of the equation. And then I looked at it as Pettersson versus MacKinnon. Again, the comparison is very, very close. I love Pettersson, but I love MacKinnon. And even though he doesn't play for the Canucks, if he played for the Canucks, I'm sure I'd love him even more. And I followed their stats, right? They're both centers. MacKinnon is 24 years old. Pettersson is 21 years old. So there's a 3-year difference. So I could see why going forward, you could say, if all things being equal, you're getting 3 more years. Let's say they both played till they're 35 or 36 or 38 or whatever. You could say, at this point right now in 2020, you're going to get 3 more years out of Pettersson, which I agree, like all things being equal, if you're talking about going forward. But then the question is Pettersson going to match MacKinnon's impact and overall play, his point total, all those things? Is he going to match it over the next 3 years? So we're talking apples to apples. So here's the thing. Nathan MacKinnon came in as an 18-year-old. He was the first overall pick in 2013, and he came in as an 18-year-old in the 2013-2014 season. And I'm just reading his stats. He had point totals of 63, then 38 in a lockout shortened season. Oh, no, it wasn't. Never mind. It was 63, it was 38, then it was 52 points, and then 53 points. So that was his 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old. 63, 38, 52, and 53. But then in his 22-year-old season, 2017-18, he rocketed up to 97 points, then 99 points, and then 93 points this season. So 97 points in 2017, 2018, that was in 74 games. That was a 1.3 points per game. Then the next season, he had 99 points, but he played all 82, so his points per game went down to a very pedestrian 1.2. I'm obviously joking. That's still very good. And then this season, he was on pace for 110 points. He had 93 points in 69 games. So this jump from 53 points a year all the way up to 97 points a year, that happened in his 22-year-old season. So basically, it's going to be Elias Pettersson's next season. So then you ask yourself, is Pettersson going to be able to do that? He had a better rookie season. He had 66 points in only 71 games, where MacKinnon had 63 points, so 66 versus 63. Of course, Pettersson did that as a 20-year-old, whereas MacKinnon did that as an 18-year-old. And then in the sophomore season, Pettersson's year was better. He had, again, 66 points in only 68 games. So maybe that becomes 80 or 82 if they ended up playing a full season. Where MacKinnon's sophomore season, he only had 38 points in 64 games. So obviously some injuries there. And then after that, what's interesting is MacKinnon has 2 more decent seasons, but not massive, 52, 53 points. And then he makes his big jump. So when it comes to number of seasons, and looking at point totals, Pettersson is already ahead of MacKinnon, right? And we see that just in the points per game in the first 2 seasons comparing the 2 players. But my point is, when you look at age, Pettersson would have to jump up to the 95, 100 point range starting next season to equate to MacKinnon from an age standpoint, i.e. MacKinnon started putting up the 100-point seasons very close to them when he turned 22 years old, and that will be next season for Pettersson. I get asked this, independent of this MacKinnon argument, I get asked this a lot on my live stream. Do you think Pettersson can be a 100-point player? Do you think Pettersson will be a 100-point player? And my answer is always yes. I do think he can be a 100-point player, given that if the power play continues to click, if he plays with good players like Miller, like Toffoli, if he resigns, like Besser. So I definitely think Pettersson has the ability to score 100 points. But do I think he will consistently? That's tough to say. I think if he scores between 80 and 90 points, we should be thrilled as Canucks fans. He'll be a point per game player, and that's the number 1 center output, right? But to get to that 95, 100 point total where you're doing 1.15 or 1.2 points per game, that's another level. I like to think Pettersson will get there, and I think he has the skill to get there, but there's a lot of circumstances that have to lead to that too, right? How good is your team? Who are the guys that you're playing with? So on and so forth. Although McDavid and Draisaitl seem to be doing it they have each other. Maybe that's the whole point. So Pettersson, maybe he has a running mate in a guy like JT Miller or in a guy like Brock Besser that can help him get to that 95, 100 point plateau. So all to say, when you look at the numbers, when you compare them, Pettersson compares favorably to MacKinnon when it comes to the first 2 seasons of pro hockey, but we'd have to see Pettersson make that jump pretty soon, as early as next season, to be then talking apples to apples once again. So he'll always be 5 seasons behind MacKinnon when it comes to their career track. He's only 2 years behind MacKinnon when it comes to age, 3 years, 24 to 21. So because MacKinnon started earlier and started younger, that's why MacKinnon now has 7 seasons under his belt, whereas Pettersson only has 2 seasons under his belt, Pettersson starting a few years later as well. So it depends how you want to make this comparison. If you're going by seasons, you could argue Pettersson is ahead of MacKinnon where MacKinnon was, and that's black and white, that's plain to see. But if you're going to talk about age, then really we'll have to have this conversation again after Pettersson's 3rd year, where he turns 22 years old in November. So all to say, if I absolutely had to pick, because I'm not sure if Pettersson's going to reach that 95, 100 point range, as much as I love him, I'd give it a slight hair. I'd pick Makar and MacKinnon over Pettersson and Hughes. But I think the fact that we're having this argument, we're having this discussion, that says a lot. That talks about the quality of Pettersson and Hughes, because I think the world of MacKinnon and Makar. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that you're not going to revoke my membership to the GLCPC, although I'm the founder, so I'm not sure how that would work. But I'm trying to say objectively, as much as I love Pettersson and Hughes, and I do love them, and I'm so glad that they're on our team, I'm also equally as impressed with MacKinnon and Makar. So Canucks fans, let me know what you think. I've kind of laid out the reasoning, and basically I didn't even talk about Hughes and Makar because I've talked about them many times in previous vlogs, because I do think right now, given their age, given the way they play, I do think it's a wash between Makar and Hughes. I really do. And then when it comes to MacKinnon and Pettersson, you have to look at their age, you have to look at their experience, you have to look at when they started, you have to look at point totals, all these things. But MacKinnon just has such a unique blend of speed. He is so fast. When he gets the puck in full flight, he's basically unstoppable. He's got good size too. He's a little bigger than Pettersson, but you could argue that Pettersson has better moves or better dangles or whatever. And Pettersson thinks the game, not that Pettersson thinks the game at a whole different level as well. So it depends which way you want to go. Obviously, you can't go wrong. They're going to have some massive battles going forward, and then you add in the supporting cast. not even supporting cast, they're just as good. You look at Colorado's young players like Rantanen and Landeskog, who's getting a little older, but still very good. And then all their young D-men coming up. And you look at the Canucks with Besser, with Horvat, and so on and so forth. You can see where it's too bad we're not in the same division because we get to play them more. But really, the only time we could meet them in the playoffs when it comes to conference finals. But maybe that will happen sooner as opposed to later. So Canucks fans, let me know what you think. Am I being totally blasphemous here? Am I being off my rocker? Or am I actually being realistic in that it's a very close call? And despite what the Twitter poll people said, most of my followers are Canucks fans, obviously. I would dare say if I was forced to pick a pair, I would pick MacKinnon and Makar over Pettersson and Hughes, but by this much, not even by this much. You can't even see that. That's how small the margin is. Canucks fans, let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. I would love to read, react, and reply. Tell me who you'd pick. Is it Hughes and Pettersson, or is it MacKinnon and Makar? I'll read your comment. I'll react to it. I'll reply to it if I can. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Enjoy the day. Be safe. Take care of yourselves and of one another. God bless. Go Canucks, go.